All right. Back on YouTube. What's going on, guys? So tonight is the night before the competition. Now, this competition, I kept it completely, my mouth shut. Basically, no one that didn't need to know knows. So I'm just gonna come in like it's a normal workout, because at the end of the day, it's just a workout. I'm gonna come in like a heavy squat, bench, deadlift day, hit my heavy singles, not miss anything, not get hurt, and then just call it a day. You know, I don't even need to do back offs in this SBD day, so, you know, what's there to trip about? I'm pretty excited for it though. It's in Connecticut, so I did come out here today. Getting a little light cardio and stretching in before tomorrow night, because, you know, gotta make sure I'm mobile, make sure my back isn't tight, my hip isn't tight, my knee isn't tight. That's about it. Well, you guys can check it out. All right, predictions before I actually go tomorrow. 295 squat, which will be easy. 167.5 bench. I'd like to go a little higher, but realistically, I know that the long pauses, the long holds at the top, it's gonna mess me up. And then on deadlift, this is spicy, but I'm gonna think 310. If things go better as planned, I might just mess around, go 315, 317.5, but we'll see. My last deadlift session was 650 for 3 and pretty easy, but it was on pound plates, so I do acknowledge that little bit of difference. But either way, tomorrow we're gonna mesh it up, we're gonna do the damn thing, and yeah, let's get it. All right, morning of the competition, just took a piss, shit, took a shower, so I should be as light as possible. Let's see how much I weigh. Put this camera down for a second. Now, I don't know if this is exactly accurate, but should be within a half a pound. Oh man, yeah, I should be within half a pound of being accurate. So 203 for you guys that didn't see. All right, I'll see you guys at the meet, and let's see how much I weigh then. All right, so since I'm so light, why not? 203, I got some wiggle room. I'm gonna down some Fairlife before I get going. This is the best chocolate milk in the game right now. Super thick, super creamy, super chocolatey, and the macros are super good. So if you guys can see, 13 grams of protein in 1 cup of these. So for any of you guys non-US watchers, this is a go-to if you have this. All right, let's chug this. Let's get on our way. Fairlife before weigh-ins, why not? Here is where the meet is. We're literally in like a truck, I don't know, loading dock area. Right there is the competition. You know what, let me just bring you guys closer. Right here. So we got platform right here. It's actually on this little ledge. And let's see. I believe the warm-ups are actually, holy crap. Yeah, we're really doing warm-ups in the back of the truck. And this is why we're lifting in a truck. So just weighed in, it started pouring right after and got the rack height, so that took a while, but weighed in at 201.8. So that's actually the lightest I've been in a while, even though yesterday I ate up purposely. All I did today was not drink excessive water. Y'all saw the Fairlife I had, but that was it. That was it until like 2:30 in the afternoon, and now I'm just snacking on some fried chicken with white rice and plantains, with a little bit of pineapple juice, you know. So gotta get that weight up. Hopefully I'll be like 210 later, but just not too heavy to where I'll throw up. Well, we'll see y'all on the platform then. I'm going around playing silly games. Now you say it's slowing down, not right now. And you make me walk away, but let it be known. Too cold, touching and teasing me, telling me no. But this time I need to hear you. Ride it, ride it, Thank you if you made it to this point. Now I'm just going to be talking about the meet reflection. So if you're not interested in that, you can just exit the video now. So I'm going to start with before the meet, during the meet, and just reflections on what I need to improve on. It's probably going to be mixed up all a little bit, so just bear with me. Okay, so before the meet, my training cycle for squat, bench, and deadlift were relatively successful. The one thing is that on squat and deadlift, I did use pound plates on my primary day, and I used kilos on my secondary day. The reason being, I just enjoy the feeling of using pound plates a lot more. It looks better, and if it looks good, I want to perform better. I'm more motivated, and it's more relatable. Like something that like probably did impact me is that I didn't feel anything remotely that heavy with the kilo plates. That's only one of the pointers that I could point to, because otherwise on my squat, I hit PRs, so 545 for a set of 7, and I hit 580 for a set of 5. And the following week, I hit 615 for 2. Now that last week, 615 for 2 was a lot harder than I expected. So that might have thrown off my squat confidence a little bit leading into the competition. So just going forward, I know I need to do a better job of just hitting those lower rep PRs or even single difficulty PRs instead of just try to milk out the higher rep PR. I'm done with it. Well, I hit 650 for 3 or 290, 295 kilos for 3. So that gave me a lot of confidence going in. Like I genuinely felt like I could have pulled anywhere between 650 to 700 on this day. Now, of course, I didn't get the chance to attempt it because I had downward motion on my second attempt, and I didn't want to take too big of a risk going forward. On bench, one thing that I did change on bench is that I'm completely training on kilos for bench, and I feel like that's given me a lot of confidence. Like I know everything I touch feels the same as it should feel leading into the competition. However, one big thing is that I always get sufficient time to warm up. My upper body has been nagging me for years now. Pecs, shoulders, triceps, elbows, everything is pretty tight. So I need to make sure that I get like 15 minutes worth of like chest flies, push downs, rowing work, scapula work, retracting, protracting work before I actually got to bench. And in the competition, just due to the pace itself, I wasn't able to. So that actually transitions us to the actual competition. Now, I think the primary reason why I went 6 for 9, of course, these are all, at the end of the day, my responsibility to take care of, but was the pace. the pace of the meet was extremely fast. So the entire meet, including squat warm-ups, squat attempts, bench warm-ups, bench attempts, deadlift warm-ups, deadlift attempts, and the breaks in between, was 2.5 hours. So these are including 20-minute gaps in between. So 2.5 hours minus 40 minutes, which was the allotted time for the breaks, is an hour 50. So as you can tell, like, the pace of the meet was just a little bit too fast for my liking. Normally meets last about at least, I would say, 4 hours is an average meet, because they have multiple flights. So it's not just one group goes and then they immediately start again. It's one group goes, the next group goes, and then the first group goes again. So that drags the meet a little bit longer and gives more time for the competitors to rest. Now, of course, this is absolutely my fault at the end of the day. I signed up for a small meet during a pandemic, not many lifters, so I should have expected that it was going to be at a faster pace, and I should have trained myself in a way where I rested less so that I would be used to that kind of pacing. Now, on top of that, it started actually pouring right before the warm-ups. So at that point, everyone was still in their car, and we were all deciding, like, okay, when do we actually go over to the place where we were going to warm up? So that due to that, I went to the warm-ups a little bit later than usual. However, once again, a rookie mistake. I need to be trying to warm up as soon as possible, especially if I plan to be lifting heavier than the other competitors. For them, some of the people weren't up to 200 kilos, and for me, my last warm-up was 250 kilos. So obviously I need more time to rest due to more warm-up attempts prior to my opener. So rookie mistake by me. I should have gone at least maybe an hour out and start warming up at that point. However, I didn't get the chance to, so I hopped in immediately, and it was like 80 kilos, and essentially every 2 minutes, I was doing another squat warm-up. At the end, when there was about 2 minutes left for the first competitor's start, I was only on 210. So between 210, 240, and 270, which was my opener, I probably had 10 minutes in between, and I was pretty gassed for that. Once you add that, and the mass factor, which in my opinion, I know there's studies that show that it doesn't decrease cardio effects, but for me, I felt that there was a difference. I was certainly struggling to breathe on itself, and then add the mask, and I was really like huffing and puffing. Now, of course, once again, this is my fault. I need to train with a mask. I need to train with low rest periods if I plan to be in a meet similar to the one that I competed in. Regarding the equipment itself, though, I'm very, very pleased. So we had kilos, stiff bars, and ER racks in the back. That's as good as it can get. I've been to competitions where there's bumper plates and Olympic bars in the back, and the feeling in the warm-up compared to the feeling on the platform was just drastically different. This time, that was absolutely not the case. So if we actually move on to bench now, I think the bench, like I said, I wish I could have warmed up a little bit more, done my chest flies, done my tricep extensions, my scapular work, my lat work, but it is what it is. I didn't have as much time, but I don't think it affected me that much at the end of the day. The primary thing that affected me was the long holds and the long pauses at the bottom. The pauses at the bottom, I think, due to my soft touch, was about 2 to 3 seconds. When you do a soft touch, it's a very questionable touch. Are you actually touching your chest, or are you not touching your chest? And due to that factor, I think judges have that hesitation time. And that hesitation time when you have a heavy weight on your chest feels like forever. So going forward, I need to know that I can at least 2 to 3 second pause my goal third attempt for competition. If I can't do that, then don't even try to hit it, because as you all know, you guys can check out pretty much anyone. Everyone underperforms on bench when it comes to their gym benches and their competition bench. And I think it's due to that reason, because the pauses are just significantly longer and they have a very big effect on how much you can actually lift. So due to that factor, in the future, I'm considering switching to a sync style benching. If I switch to something that's a sync style bench, I'm able to get a more definitive pause. When that pause looks convincing, I think the judges will be like, okay, press. and give you a faster press command because of that. I'm also inspired by guys like Jonathan Keiko that just have huge benches in the 93 while doing a sync style. So that's definitely something I want to explore going forward. Now, lastly on deads, like I said, I didn't touch any kilo deadlifts the entire training block. Do I think it affected me? Honestly, not really. I felt like I had very good momentum week after week. Like I said, I pulled 650 for 3. Now, what actually happened on the deadlift? My first attempt, 275, that went up pretty good. I was like, okay, let's be small. I missed my squat third. I missed my bench third. So let's not try to be too greedy and hit my goal second attempt. Let's reduce it a little bit. So instead of 300 kilos, I hit 295 kilos. 295 kilos actually moved up fairly well. The one thing is I had a little bit of the problem like I had on squat, where all of a sudden at the top, like I just had a bobble where like my hip or my back, something just wasn't working to the best standard it could be. And for that reason, I had downward motion. Now, this is always a tricky situation. My recommendation is when you miss a lift, you should retake it. It's very ballsy to go up after missing a lift because it's a double or nothing situation. If you miss that third, you only get your opener. But if you retook your second attempt for your third attempt, you probably would get that second attempt logged in at least. However, I felt that 295 was smooth enough and that it was a technical error. So at that point, I'm like, okay, let's go to 300 kilos, a small jump, 5 kilo jump. That's a previous meet PR, which I've hit before. I know for sure that based on this training cycle that I can hit it. So that's exactly what I did. I put 300 kilos on the bar and I hit it, no technicality mistakes. I hit it relatively with a little bit left in the tank. I would have wished it was a little bit smoother, but with the way that the entire meet was going, this is probably how it was going to be moved. I want to thank the meet director, Alyssa Orlando, for actually hosting the meet. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to compete during the pandemic. I know there's a lot of logistical struggles and the rain and like the location going into this. So thank you for giving us the chance to compete. Thank you for those that actually brought the equipment, top tier equipment. Now, regarding the safety of the meet, though, I think it was actually a fairly safe experience. So everyone had masks on the entire time, from the warm-ups to the actual platform to the judges. Everyone had masks on, and it was mandatory. Now, regardless of what you believe and how effective masks are, at least there isn't spit flying all over the place and blood just everywhere. Like, if you guys seen gym mirrors, they're disgusting, and that's because right before people squat, they don't notice, but they spit a lot of times. So because of the mask, obviously you're not going to have that spit flying everywhere. On top of that, there was hand sanitizer before every single attempt. So before everyone went, there was a guy that was squeezing hand sanitizer into everyone's hands. You had your own chalk, so you don't need to share any chalk. They provided their own PPE equipment, so that included the mask, the hand sanitizers, and they also provided a block of chalk for everyone in case you don't have it. Also partially outdoors, so the gates of the loading dock was open, so there's fresh air coming in and there's circulation. You can always step outside if you wanted to get some more fresh air at any point. Socially distance is, of course, a little bit difficult. It's not going to happen, especially with this many people in this small environment to warm up in. So I think that's obviously one thing that can be improved. But unless you have a huge facility, I don't think there's anything you can do to socially distance the lifters. The spectators, they were actually on a separate level, you can say. Like, we were elevated on the loading dock, which you can think of as a stage, and the audience was down here where they were watching. So the audience and the lifters are very separated as well. So that's one thing that you didn't have to worry about. But overall, I think it was a very safe experience. I don't think anyone was put in a risky situation to get COVID. But that being said, you know, take your own risk in terms of whether or not you want to compete during this pandemic. But yeah, that's about it regarding the safety. Going forward, what I'm going to do is try to compete in a meet where it's only one flight. I think that significantly affected my performance. I'm going to probably have a little bit more exposure to heavy weights on kilos for the squat. I think deadlifts overall went well. Just make sure that I give myself enough time to warm up. Try to warm up before everyone, especially if I plan on lifting heavier than everyone. Make sure I get enough nutrition in between the attempts. Now, this actually kind of went hand in hand with the meet being so fast. I just didn't want to eat because I felt like throwing up pretty much all throughout squat and bench already. So I didn't want to add more food. But as we all know, so going forward, I definitely have to address that. Now, you guys seen the 6 for 9 performance. I promise you guys next time I'm going to be a lot closer to 9 for 9 and also getting an 800 kilo total. So you guys seen the flop? Now let's watch the success story.